had not been for the deceptions involved, would have just cause to destroy everything on here, because there's some rotten people on this planet, and there's more of them than it's not. Everybody's so selfish and self-centered. And so, Hotep God, so when we're looking at coming to these conclusions, these women think that they have, like, they got slave owner mentality when it comes to the child. The child is a poker chip. It is a cash cow. So they want to hold the child hostage so that they can get a child support check so they don't have to work. Then they want to accuse a guy of sowing his oats or whatnot, and they don't want to do nothing. They have no value of self. See, I did a video called The Way of the Woman. And when I described what a woman was, everything that looked human is not human. Some of these things are synthetic. And they can cross over if they activate the right moral triggers. They can cross over, but most of them won't never do it because it will cause for them to have to give up the narcissism and the selfishness and the greed. So they won't never switch over from being a drone, a nanobot. So these are the more reptilian-minded of those who look to be human. And so they get restrictive personality traits. Me, my, like everybody gonna take something from them. But your child is not your slave, and your child is not your passport to live a life without labor. Everybody gotta do their part, and everybody gotta do what they supposed to do. We can't just come in and think because we got a child, that's enough. When you have children, multiple children, and you teach them differently. You can have two children, one of them is 4 years old, can read a book. Then the second one come along is 4 years old and can't say their alphabet. That's a difference in the child. There's something wrong there with the parent that's responsible for the child. If it's the parent that has both children and they teach one but won't teach the other, there has to be an underlying cause. Because if she's a real mother, she will teach all her children the same. So in the learning process and determining what's human and what's not, you have to determine what's the feminine that behave like a mother and what's the feminine that behave like not a mother. See, that's that, you have to know what you're judging if you're going to make a just judgment. You got to know what you're condemning if you're going to condemn justly. So you have all these things taking place. Now, people don't want to hear you talk about the truth. They want to hear you say pretty words that don't mean shit. That's not going to never liberate you and liberate your mind. So when you start saying certain stuff that shatters their paradigm and hits them in their ego, then they want to run. And so we just tell it like it is and let the chips fall where they may. May the strong stand firm and may the weak bow down. Yep, Jillian, I'm about to go into what's going on with that. Because you need, all y'all sisters that's been supporting me need to know what's going on. So anyway, if you are a mother, you don't do what's in the best interest of the child. If you are a slave-driving reptilian, then you're going to try to hold on to the child thinking that the child is going to provide you a free ride through life. And that won't happen when you're standing in the face of the gods. See, we came to see if you really do that type of thing here on earth. You know, we wanted to know if the grievances that we're hearing about women refusing to allow fathers to be fathers to their children because they don't have money. Money does not determine your degree of parenting. Your money is not more important than your child. Anybody who hold their child as a ransom in order to pay their bills is a trifling piece of shit. And those are the ones that's in the way of the progress of the righteous. Because you can't raise children in that vibration. When you think the child is a poker chip, then the child has low self-esteem because they know in the back of their mind that all there is to you is a payday. And so we can't have these women calling guys deadbeat dads, but won't let them do their part as a father and actively interfere. That's not fair to the child. That's not fair to the that's not fair to the child. That's not fair to the other parent. Just because a parent don't fight you for custody don't mean they can't take that child. They just don't want to cause an upset in an environment. They don't want to cause an upset in an environment that is negative to that child. But here you go, still holding on to these negative vibrations and causing the child problems, but you talking about you love them. Love is selfless. It's not a greedy emotion. It's a giving emotion. Love doesn't stop growth. Love is like a fertilizer. It enhances growth. So if you talk about you love your child and you're a good mother, then you should do motherly things in reference to the child. You should not have an educated child and an uneducated child. That's not right. You shouldn't actively interfere with a child's education just so you can keep a paycheck. That's wrong and that's unfair to the child. And a lot of these women have been doing this, and I've been getting these reports for years. And so this is a grievance that's been vexed and it's got to be dealt with. This goes directly to the judgment of Solomon, because it gets to show you the parallels between a mother and some female that just has a baby. It's a difference. Not the same. Matriarchs are family oriented, and they're going to do what's in the best interest of the child. But these selfish and self-centered, serpent-minded individuals are going to do what their greedy mind, their reptilian mind, their serpent mind tell them to, because they try to patch that in the human arena and get over on everybody. Don't think that get these deadbeat dads off the hook. Don't think it get them off the hook. See, a lot of these deadbeat dads make those trifling women that make mothers look bad validate. If you're a deadbeat dad, you validate her. When you validate the trifling ones and you detract from the ones that's doing they justice, that's doing what they supposed to do. So when you get ready to make a judgment related to whether or not you should make what moves with your child, this is what you have to look at. You have to judge it from the standpoint of wisdom. So when he said that the two women, one had the interest of the child over her interest, and the other lady had her interest over the interest of the child. And so Solomon rendered his judgment to determine who really loved the child, who was the matriarch in this matter, who was the one who was really holding the interests of the child at heart in purity and sincerity. And it could have been that the lady whose actual child it was the one who didn't mind the child being cut in half. They never said in the story whose actual child it was, but it just said who Solomon gave the child to. Because the lady that did not want the child to be harmed received the child, did not make that child's biological mother. But in the sense of righteousness, it made it his righteous mother. So she's going to do for that child what's in that child's best interest into adulthood. Whereas the other woman, the one that wanted to allow the baby to be destroyed, that woman that Jezebel, as they say in the church, but Jezebel don't mean that. She is the one that's making everything complicated for the good women. And the deadbeat dads is validating her triflingness. So this is what we had to deal with. They will not get another dime from me as long as man is held hostage for a poker chip. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. Now, to move on to what's going on, a lot of y'all that's very high in energy may be aware of this, and y'all may be in denial of what y'all seeing on the energy, what y'all reading. But we have unleashed many fourth dimensional light beings into the fourth dimension to start cleaning up these negative thought forms that has been blocking us from making moves on the physical. Now, if this method don't work, then all of these same things is going on the fourth dimension, where you see all of these beings that look like the one on my profile picture, because I use that as the thought form, all over the planet, whooping ass and standing security in key locations in the fourth dimension. They blocking off stuff. It's almost time for the coronation, and we got to get this stuff cleaned up before it's too late and before we can't get it done. And then we have a bigger problem than we want, because then we'll have a cleanup crew coming here and clean it up physically on the third dimension, which would be very nasty and ugly. And I don't want that to happen, because I promise I would not destroy this place again. So y'all going to see a lot of beings in the fourth dimensional matrix, what they call the astral, kicking ass. Don't panic. All of the ones that are righteous, they know who y'all are. They can see your light shine. They will not do nothing to you. But all of you low-level, wicked, selfish, self-centered beings, y'all going to start getting physically ill. Physically ill. So you ain't going to even have to look to determine who is behind all of this pain and such. The ones that you're going to see that was healthy today and almost drop dead sick tomorrow, them going to be the wicked. Those going to be the ones that had malice in their heart for everybody that cared about them. The no good, rotten motherfuckers. That's what they finna get. So y'all about to see it. And everybody that has an opportunity to walk among the righteous, I just suggest you do so. All you have to do is not be selfish. The 7 deadly sins, look them up. That's what you have to avoid. 7 deadly sins. Just don't have that. And the rest of it I can help y'all with. But if y'all have those negative qualities instilled in your heart, you on your own. I don't want to say nothing for no selfish, self-centered, and greedy person. You know, so in the judgments of Solomon, Solomon has a lot of stuff going on through the ages. Because when you go through the wisdom history of the mystery systems, you find that the God of wisdom being thought. Then you find the first wise man after Adam being Enoch, right? Then you find that the wisest man was called the king of Salem. But then you find that the Christ was made a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek, who was the king of Salem. And then Solomon, and right after David, the beloved one, he was the wise one, Solomon. The soul of man is what that is. That's man's soul. And then when you go into Solomon building the temple, what temple does he build? He's building the temple of man. So then he need all of his workers assembled to build the temple of man. So then he called in all of the demons in order to have them correct the sins or to structure in their portion of the temple. But nobody's telling you that it's part of the DNA. This is genetics cleanup. The whole wisdom of Solomon is telling you about it. It's the breakdown of the genetics and the genetic defects. They tell you what the defects is, and they tell you what angel that sent them to clean it up. But we don't pay that no attention. The judgment of Solomon extends long beyond just that conflict between those two women. The judgment of Solomon goes all the way back to the days of Thoth up until now. What about all these CPI workers who help the system to pull children out of homes? Many work in the church. 4 years they help. So that's modern day slave trade. We giving our kids to the beast because we're not organizing our communities the way we're supposed to be organizing our communities. We have an invader and an imposter over here set up camp on our property, and they know that they're imposters, and as long as we don't tell them to leave, they don't have to leave. But if we tell them to leave, they have to go. They already know this. They've been knowing it from day one. As soon as we tell them your time is up, you got to go, they out of here. You have to put them on notice on the public display. You got to all get behind one person. You got to have a central point of focus. You have to have one common spokesman, and you have to have the spokesman tell them that their time is up and they have to go. And they got to have your support. We got to have the support of the collective with no divide and conquer tied into it. This is what the problem is. Yeah, they taking children with the Child Protective Services got more power over your child than you do. That's because you have submitted yourself to a rogue government. This government is not yours. This is a fictition. It's a legal fiction. They tell you from Supreme Court rulings at the United States level to each one of the states, you can find it, that this is a legal fiction. It's a corporate. It's a public body corporate. The United States is a company. It's not your public government. Your capital is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It always has been. They tell you in the history books, but you fail to realize that when they switched to D.C. is when they took your government and they put in this fictitious corporation behind it. So they created these demarcation lines and got you thinking they legitimate. I guess if somebody tell you the same lie long enough, you will believe it. And then when the person that comes to tell you the truth, you look at them like they're a damn fool. But the fact of the matter is they don't have no jurisdiction here. Those called sheriffs are enforcing the policies of somebody that's not of ours. The ones that you call police do not belong here. This is why they're having these upheavals. You have a police force in your community. It's a military, a paramilitary force. The police and the sheriff is not the same thing. Their jurisdictional roles and responsibilities are not the same thing. So the marshal is not the same thing as your FBI. Though the marshal, if you go back and do your historical research, the marshal was the law of the land that policed federally, what y'all would call today federally, but we call it by the Commonwealth, or by the Confederate. They was Confederate. Whereas up here, when we're talking about national, we're talking about the North. We're not talking about the Confederates. We're talking about the North. So all this time they had you thinking that the North South was fighting about slavery and money. The North and South was fighting about the indigenous people of the South versus the English who was under the reign of King George in the North. Y'all don't know y'all history. That's why they call New York the Empire State. The Empire Station was there. And that's where they had George Washington meeting and sending his messengers and couriers. Look it up. It's all in the history books. It's right there in our face. He was sending them there with messages for the king on how to take this land and how to set this interim government up and make the people compliant with the false government. So they used the judicial system, and then they set up the police forces, which is a military, paramilitary police force. They started in New York. Look them up. The police department started in New York. That's why they call them cops and copper tops. That's what they was calling them in New York, because they was sent there to try to